So what we've got here is an iPhone 5. It's pretty bruised and battered, so we're going to have to replace this screen and digitizer on this, and it's just like the iPhone 4 and 4S. The actual touch screen and the LCD are glued together. You can only buy them as one. So we're going to start off by unscrewing those two torx screws at the bottom there, just like you would on the iPhone 4. Now, although we don't have as many screws to take off as we do in the iPhone 4, you still want to keep them safe because they are tiny and it's easy to lose them. So normally in these kits you get one of these little plastic suction cups, but when a screen's so cracked as what this one is, it doesn't actually get enough suction to lift the screen up. So what I've found with the iPhone 5, if you gently just tease up one of the corners with a metal blade, nice thin metal blade that you can get in under there, and then once you get it teased up a little bit like that is, then swap out for one of the plastic pry tools you get with the kit. It's just that there's quite a few ribbon cables under here and you might cut it with a metal blade, so you just want to use that just to get it up in one corner, and then you can start using your plastic pry tool all around the sides to start lifting the screen up. So once you've got the screen released, you just want to pull it back to this 90-degree angle here. You don't want to take it back any further than that because you'll end up ripping out the actual LCD ribbon cables here. But we can just see the 3 screws here that we've got to now unscrew, and they are Phillips screws, not torx screws like the front ones. So what we'll do is remove that plate, and then we can pop out the LCD ribbon cables and then prepare the new screen to fit into the iPhone. So I've just gone to unscrew these 3 screws just with the screwdriver provided because I didn't want to go around hunting for my screwdriver, but this doesn't actually fit. It doesn't actually fit the screws in here, so just be wary of something like that. It's a good investment to get a screwdriver with multiple heads like this one. You can pick them up quite cheaply, but it tends to be the torx screws at the front that people struggle to actually get a head to fit those. So yeah, this is useless. So once you get the screws out, just remove this metal retaining plate that holds the LCD wires in place. Just wiggle it out there. And again, it's so easy, not because there's far fewer screws than the iPhone 4, but all these 3 screws here are all the same length. So you don't have to make a note of which length of screw goes where. They're all the same length, so it's a lot easier. So now we take the pry tool again and we can start prying up those connectors. That's 1, and that's 2, and that's 3. So now we can go now and swap over the home button and such like to our new screen. So what you want to do with the old screen is remove this metal plate first, and then you can expose the actual front-facing camera and the headphone speaker that's just down in there. And this ribbon cable is just held in place by gravity and a little bit of double-sided tape. Just gently manipulate it out of its housing and remove the little speaker. And we can transfer that over to our new screen now. And you also want the, on my replacement screen, I don't get the actual rubber housing here to hold the speaker in place, so you want to remove that, as well as this plastic shroud here for the front-facing camera. So when it comes to removing the home button, you want to release those 2 Phillips screws on either side of the metal plate, and here it's attached by a very, very thin ribbon cable that is actually double-sided tape down there to these 2 round contacts here that make contact with the actual iPhone chassis. So you want to be really careful and get your prizing tool under there. You want something plastic, not metal, and just gently keep working it away to release the actual double-sided tape that holds these 2 contacts down. It's really easy to actually break that cable, and then your home button won't work. And with the home button, once you get it released from the old screen, is fit it back in place and actually put the metal bracket back on with the 2 screws, and then there should be enough sticky left on these 2 contacts here, because what that will do is orientate it into the right position, and then you can just gently put them into place onto the new screen. So now what I want to do is remove this plastic protection here off the new screen and leave this plastic backing on, and we're going to fit the actual shield back in place. But I'm not going to screw it down yet, it's just we need the shield in place in order to connect all this back up on here. So you want to make sure that the camera fits nice and snug in its plastic housing there. And this little connector, those 2 connectors want to make contact with these 2 here, and also this wants to fit into the rubber boot. There's actually a space in the rubber boot for that there. And then the metal clip just fits on top, holds it all down, and put the longer screw in first, but I don't tighten it down all the way, just enough to hold it in place. Tighten these 2 screws down as far as they go, and then finally the long screw, just give it that extra turn to tighten it down. So now I've just got to put the screws back in here on the sides of this actual can, and then that's our new screen prepared, ready to go back onto our iPhone. So now what we've got to do, now the screen's built back up again, is just connect all the connectors again for the LCD and the camera, etc. And you want to hold it at that 90-degree angle and start with the nearest one first, and the others sit on top of each other. And it's just a matter of getting them in place, and there's like a little click when you've got them spot on. So once you've got your actual ribbon cables connected up and everything, and before you put the final 2 screws in and the little plastic cover that holds the LCD ribbon cables in place, you just want to fire it up and make sure that everything's working fine. So a lot easier to do than the iPhone 4 and the 4S, as I said in the beginning, but one thing I would do is take a cotton bud just before you reseat your new screen and get in the groove that the screen sits in, and get out any grime or anything like that that might be present. And also, this iPhone here has had a ding in this corner, but it's not been enough to actually affect the shape of the iPhone. It wasn't actually that ding in that corner that broke the original screen, but if yours has, and it has actually broken the screen, then you probably have to get in there and ground it out and reshape it before you refit the new screen. Otherwise you'll smash your new screen putting it in place. And also it does take a little bit of force to get it into that ridge, but not excessively. If you're having to push down too hard, then what you could end up doing is actually breaking the screen. But I have read a few articles where some of the cheaper sellers of these on eBay, they're slightly too big and they don't fit the actual iPhone properly, so just be wary of that. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up, and I'll see you for the next one.